All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is your host, IDJESTER, for live chat. We're going to be doing the 2019 baseball preview show. This is part 2. We got some wonderful channels, some great individuals that are going to be joining us here. We're going to give everyone about 5 minutes to join up because this is not our regular evening to discuss this. Normally we do it on Tuesday nights, but I can't do it on Tuesday night this week, so we're doing it on Sunday night. So we're going to give everyone about 5 minutes to get the message that we went live, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So, gentlemen, just a random question. How is everyone doing tonight?
Great. I'm doing wonderful.
Doing good here too. Been a nice weather in Arizona again finally. So I actually was going to be outside for this. It's just a little too bright still.
Yeah, well, you're out there where the sunshine's still going out strong, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, love it. It was a beautiful day here. It was 80, low humidity, and sunny all day. The wife was out sunning herself by the pool. It was really nice. Where are you at, Tribe Fan?
I am actually in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
So we had 55 today. Not real sunny, but of course we go back down to the high 30s for Monday and Tuesday.
Right. Yeah, I lived outside of Columbus for 23 years before moving to Florida. So.
Yeah, I actually lived in Columbus for about a year. Actually, when the Blue Jackets started.
Oh, okay.
So
good. And Rob, where are you at again?
I am in South Central Virginia, and so I'm not too far at all from Virginia Tech or Liberty. So those two teams playing right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's everyone's basketball brackets? Maddox here, so thank you for joining us tonight. We're giving everyone about 5 minutes to catch up and let them know the Sunday.
I haven't done a bracket in like 5 years because that always seems to go wrong. I mean, I always tell people, who do you got for Final Four? I said, pick a Big Ten team, pick an ACC team, and just throw darts at the other two.
That's about it. But I haven't graded mine yet, so hopefully after the show I'll find out how good I'm doing. So after the first day, we do 1 point for first round, 2 points for second round, 3 points for third round. After the first day, I got 14 to 16 right, so I had 14 points.
I'm gonna wait and fill my bracket out after tonight. I don't have a chance.
I was really hoping Duke would lose because I did not have Duke as one of my Final Four, and there was a lot of other people that had Duke as one of their Final Four. So I was really hoping they would lose.
Yeah, it's a big crapshoot. It's like the year that you want them to win, they don't, and the year that don't want them to win, they do.
That's it.
They've kept me on the edge of my seat all year because, I'm being on the East Coast, I'm right here between Duke, North Carolina, and UVA, 3 number 1 seeds within 100 miles of me. And, most hated teams, Carolina, and then UVA is right there with them. And now Duke, I'm telling you, it's some strong basketball around here. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. I have Virginia as my Final Four winner. So they better go.
And with me, Virginia, they always seem to break their fan base's hearts. They just don't do well in the tournament for some reason. And I thought they were headed for an upset Friday.
Tennessee almost did what they did in 2007 against Ohio State. They almost blew a 20-plus point lead against the Big Ten team.
Yeah, right.
When your coach sings in Vegas, his name's Tony Bennett, then you better watch out anyway. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Played.
Well, we'll give everybody just another minute or two to join us before we get started. I don't want to, have to redo everything once we get started. But the general format is we're going to be taking each division, talking about it, highlighting the teams in it. Each of our wonderful participants will then give their opinion about the division, who they think is going to win, give any reason, their thoughts on how they've decided to come up with them. We'll go through each of the divisions. Then we'll give the wild card team. Then we'll go to the National League, do the same thing, and then at the end, each person will give their World Series prediction, and then we'll all get through our World Series winner. So should be looking forward to having a lot of fun on that. If you guys have not participated in this and you want to send me an email with your predictions for each division, your 2 wild cards for each, the American League and the National League, and your World Series finals, and your winner of the World Series, if you want to email that to me, I will include you when we do our end of season preview of the upcoming playoffs, where we can look back and see how our picks came true or didn't come true this year. So email me at idjesterlive@gmail.com, idjesterlive@gmail.com, and we'll add you to our list of participants for this year. So we'll get everyone involved in this.
Got it.
All right, but just another minute here. Why don't we go ahead and start and just talk about each of our wonderful guests we have this week? So we have, you've seen him on my live chat probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. He did a great job, and he's very knowledgeable when it comes to baseball if you've watched his channel. And he's also a game designer. So let's welcome, first of all, Mr. Bleacher Bums Gaming. And how are you tonight? And why don't you just give us a little bit about your channel and a little bit about yourself, and let us know how things are going out there in Arizona.
Doing good. Excited to be here. This should be a lot of fun. Right now on the channel, kind of focused on Status Pro Advanced. I have rediscovered that after not playing it for probably 35 years, and have been reminded why I love that. So been focusing on that on the channel lately. We'll have some Glory Days boxing coming up, as well as an announcement. I was actually going to do the announcement today, but I had issues with OBS on my laptop, so that has gotten postponed. But that boxing game will be coming out in May. So excited to get that going, and I have a good partnership set up, which I'll talk about when I do the announcement. But apart from that, coaching football, as you know from the chat, and spring ball. We're doing some stuff now during the week, and spring ball starts in a couple of weeks, so I'll be busy with that. And season will be up on us shortly after that. So that's about it.
Well, that is very, very exciting news for everyone out there that is waiting for Glory Days Boxing. You have now got an official release date. Now, we don't know what it is yet, but you've got one in mind, correct?
Yeah, it will be in May. I'm not going to say May 1st, but it will be released in May. I want to make sure, obviously, everything that gets back from the printer is good. And, I think it's better to kind of under promise and over deliver. So I'm not going to say May 1st, but in May.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Great news to hear that. And you're still going hard on the baseball game as well, correct?
That's kind of going on the back burner right now, and that's that I'm going to spend. That'll probably take about a year to get the teams I want rated for that. But once we start with football, that takes up most of the time outside of my day job. So focusing on boxing to get that done before football season.
All right, Status Pro Advanced, great system, wonderful system. And I really enjoyed it when I brought it to my channel, and you seem like you are really bringing back the memories on that.
Yeah, playing 1976 right now, and that season I was 13 years old that summer, so just kind of coming into my teen years, and a lot of great memories from that season. Obviously, Mark the Bird Friedrich's rookie year, Yankees finally getting back to the World Series, even though they got swept by Cincinnati, and just some memorable characters in the game back then. So having a lot of fun, kind of rediscovering those names from my adolescence, if you will.
Absolutely. Love it. Love to hear it. Glad to have you back. So our second participant that's going to give up his information tonight is his debut on live chat. This is Rob! Exclamation point. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for letting me join your channel tonight. I've got the big YouTube racing league going on, and we're going to start actually racing tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I've got you in the 77 car, and I got Anthony. I got his car as well. So yeah, we got some cars, and Keith, the originator. I've got his car. He's got the #1 red, white, and blue car, but none of them's got anything for the 18 blue.
Is that your car?
Oh yeah, man, it had to be my car there. And then Next Generation Plus Baseball, I'm running the whole 162 season of Boston, which is not looking great right now. And you can see Anthony smiling from ear to ear right now. They're screen over the whole time I'm saying this, but it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable, and I want to thank you for kind of pointing me in that direction to get that, because it's a fun game.
Yeah, it's absolutely a quality game. I think obviously the price being free is awesome. The fact that they have so much involved in the system with the pitchers, their pitchers don't just sit in the background. There's a lot of interaction with the pitchers and their stats on the pitchers, and the fact that it's actually a pretty quick game once you start remembering the numbers. You know what a 13 is, you know what a 14 is now. You can start cruising through things, and the more numbers you learn in your head, the easier it gets. And I've seen some of your live streams on that. You did a great job of learning it really quickly, and I hope to do some more National Pastime Next Generation myself. So it's a pretty good, pretty solid system, I think.
Well, he's over there thanking me for doing a good job, but then he's got a 1 hour video tutorial directed right at yours truly right there, because I was screwing up big time. So I want to thank you for that. It really, really helps. I tell you what, when you are screwing up a game and you're spinning in circles and you have no idea where the hell you're spinning at next, it helps a lot if somebody just kind of straighten your head up and says, okay, look ahead. And that's what you did with me. And it helped me so much.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I do. And I see you struggling. And I just wanted to do whatever I could do to help you out, to get you straight, going down the right path. And once I sent you down that path, man, you just started flying down it. And you're on game, what, 18, 19 already?
I started 21 is where I'm at now. I think right now they're 11-9. They finally got above 500, and they're playing the A's, so it helps.
And I can take full credit. I can take full credit for one of those losses, because I was running Tampa Bay when it was the bottom of the ninth inning, and I told you what to do, and Tampa Bay ended up coming back to win that game. So, Anthony, you can thank me to give Boston a loss on that one.
And you know what? You're a good guy anyway, IDJ, because knowing that he's playing the Red Sox, if I had tried to help him with the rules, I would have given him some bogus rules to
Oh, the dishonesty.
Well, welcome. Thank you for making your debut on live chat. And now, without further ado, we have TriveFan879 making his debut on live chat. Welcome. Why don't you tell us about yourself and about your channel, what's going on? I know what's going on, but why don't you let everyone else know what's going on?
Thank you very much. Well, pretty much my channel is I do Stratomatic videos. Well, I started out doing recaps. Well, it started out a chat like, yeah, I'd really like to see what happens in this 1967 game between Steve Blass and Tom Seaver. So, of course, I made the rookie mistake of holding the phone the wrong way, so you got that nice little black bars on the side. Then I was like, oh, well, okay, this didn't go so bad. Let's try doing a whole series. And then was like, okay, put it on my wonderful face. And then finally I'm like, I can get about 45 to 50 minutes of video. Hey, I can do one of these advanced games. So now I've gone to doing one game a series now that I know how to do players that aren't coded. We won't get into how I'm doing that, but, the Sabathia game had Aaron Hicks, not carded, but found a way to get that done. So we are on, I just finished game 68. The Twins are 25 and 43, still about 5 games above where they were in the regular season.
So what made you decide on the Twins in 2016? What's the connection you have? Just random thought, or?
Well, I think part of the thing is I see all these Stratomatic people, they do all the first place teams. And I'm like, well, 71, okay, so the Indians were the last place team. So, of course, me being an Indians fan, wanted to know what 71 was like. But, thankfully I did the 67 Mets. Hey, that's Tom Seaver's rookie year. So, okay, the rest of the team was horrible, but at least the Tom Seaver starts you got to look forward to. And then also the reason I picked the 2016 Twins is that I got to play the Indians 19 times.
Right.
So I get to do that. Now, if, things prevail and I'm going to probably do the 2018 Orioles, well, it'll be a little bit more of a chore.
I'm not even going to get into it. My video, because you've probably seen it, and you've seen my video yesterday. I know Rob has seen it because he already made a comment about it. What do you think? What do you think about the fact that you don't have certain players that you need when you're doing a replay?
Well, I have the Strat app, so I can at least use that. And the extra players, I kind of budget into knowing this is pretty much the only game I'm going to get this year. I'm not. All I have is Strat right now, and in fact, I've only been into it for about 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So
right.
before I knew about Payoff Pitch and APA and all the other games, and since I don't have a PC, I can't use all the other.
So if I send you Inside Pitch, would you give it a chance?
Oh yeah, in fact I like the Payoff Pitch engine probably a little bit better than Inside Pitch.
Okay, let's see about what we can do for you. I'm going to be ordering some stuff, so I might just include an extra special just for you.
All right. I mean, like I said, I enjoy the whole thing of, hey, this is what the pitcher is throwing. Is it going to be in his wheelhouse? Is it going to be tough for him? And then, okay, here's how the batter reacts.
Right. Yeah, I really like that aspect of the game. I like the pitcher batter interactions. I think it's well done, well designed. I don't know. There was a comment on one of my videos basically asking, has anybody done any statistical analysis to find out how accurate it is? I can't vouch for it because I haven't played enough. But if somebody knows of anyone out there that has done some statistical analysis, run like a full season replay, and you can give us some statistics on how close Payoff Pitch does. I'm winding down my Bo Jackson, as everyone knows. We got 8 games left in the season. So we're in game 154. We got 8 games left in the season. And after I complete this season, we're going to actually look at Inside Pitch and look at its statistics and compare it to real life. And we've been doing that the last couple of videos, starting with about game 10 and 9 and 12, 9, 8, and 10. And we're looking at the different players. And I'll tell you what, I'm very, very shocked how close a lot of these statistical results are. A lot of very good information. But hopefully you guys will be able to join me for that. So we do have baseball demos here. He was on last week, gave us his predictions. Unfortunately, like I said, if you're just joining us, I emailed Higher Ground Gaming. I haven't been able to reach him. I know last Tuesday he signed up for tonight's session, but I haven't been able to reach him. I emailed him. I also posted on his YouTube channel, and I haven't heard back. So maybe he's on vacation this week or something, and he's just not getting the update that we had to move this. So I apologize for having to move this. I completely forgot I have a medical procedure Wednesday morning at the crack of dawn, so I have to prepare the night ahead of time. And so I can't do it on our normal Tuesday. So I apologize to you guys out there for that.
And wishing you all the best for that, by the way, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Well, without further ado, the 2019 season is almost here. Actually, officially, it's already started. As we all know, there was a couple games in Tokyo. So it's actually officially started. So you guys actually have a little sneak peek between Seattle and Oakland. So if you had either of those two teams go in the World Series, you can know ahead of time what the record is. All right, let's talk about the American League East first. So we have the Blue Jays, we have the Orioles, we have the Rays, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. We're going to let Anthony, the senior member of the group, go first. Who do you have winning the American League East? Again, we're not talking about wild cards yet. We're not talking about anything like that. Just who is your prediction for the 2019 American League East?
And that senior thing, is that because I'm the oldest, or I don't know if I like that. AL East, the I guess expected thing for me to say would be the Yankees would take that. But I'll be honest, I think that the Red Sox are going to edge them out. Both teams' starting lineups, I think, are very comparable. They're going to both create a lot of offense this year. The difference comes down to pitching, and I think the Red Sox, especially early in the season with Severino, he's not going to be ready to start the season. Sabathia, hoping that both of them don't miss more than a couple of weeks, but they could miss the entire month of April. So it's important for the Yankees to get off to a good start without them. Hopefully someone steps up like Sessa. He had a good outing last game. I saw him pitch in spring training, but I think the Sox rotation-wise, that's going to give them the edge. On the bullpen, Yankees, I think, have one of the best bullpens in baseball. I think they're definitely stronger there, but you've got to get to the bullpen, and I think that they could struggle with that at times. In terms of the rest of the pack, I'd have to say Tampa Bay is probably the third best team, but that's going to be a pretty big gap between the top two and Tampa. Toronto is rebuilding. They've got some exciting young players. We'll get to see Vlad Guerrero Jr. debut this year, which should be fun. He's definitely a player that's got all the tools. They lost some players. Of course, Stroman's no longer there, but I think they're trying to adopt the blueprint to build for the future. And Baltimore, they might as well be in the International League. They're not going to have a good season at all.
There you go. All right, so Anthony, I got you down as Boston winning the division. Well, before we go to the next person, how hard was that for you to say? That was pretty hard, wasn't it?
That's why I went and got that glass of wine before we started. I had to steel myself to say that.
All right. Well, I will preface this with what I said last week. If you did not watch last week's show, they've done an analysis. They've analyzed every baseball season since it first started. And between one third to 1/4 of every baseball season, the next season, the same teams are not in. So there's always turnover. There's always new blood. So if you're picking the same team as last year, you're going to have to pick somebody else in the different division. So that'll be interesting to see. So let's go to Rob. Rob, what are you thinking about the American League East? What's your general thoughts on it? Are the Red Sox going to repeat?
Yeah, I think so. But I tell you what, I can't. Me and Anthony couldn't agree much closer there because I think those two teams are 1 and 1A. I just think they're that good. I think they're that much farther away from the pack. And the way this is the way I see it: the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles. You've got 57 games against those teams. You need to win 40 of them. I really believe you need to win 40 and go like 40-17, and then you're going to beat each other up. You're not. It's not like one of these teams is going to go 15-4 against the other team. It's not going to happen. So you got to beat those teams down while they're down. Red Sox. I just think the Red Sox may be just that little bit better. I think they're both 100-win teams. But don't be surprised if the Yankees pull it out and win the division. But I'm going to pick Red Sox by that much. 108, no. I don't think either team wins 108. But I think both teams win 100.
All right. Well, you've heard the consensus so far, Tribe fan. Boston. What do you think? And then I'll give you guys my opinion. This week, I am actually going to give you guys – I didn't want to do it last week, but I'm going to give out my opinions after we go. But Tribe fan, what do you think?
I'm going to have to agree with the other two gentlemen. Like I said, the Red Sox, the starting pitching just a little bit much more better. Who knows? Maybe David Price found what he needed to find in the 2019 postseason to make the Red Sox just that much better. Now, I'll agree. The Red Sox aren't winning 108 games, but will we see like 103 and 100 for the 103 for the Red Sox and 100 for the Yankees? Probably. And also, like I said, the bullpen for the Red Sox, especially when they lost Stephen Wright, well, they'll lose him for 80 games, and then they won't have him for the postseason because he got suspended. That might be a little bit, but the lineup is just too good, in my opinion, for 1-9 for the Red Sox. And I think they'll handle to me, the Yankees depend too much on the long ball. Well, look at the park they play in, but if you get them on a streak where they're not hitting the long ball, that'll be the time where some teams can take over. Now, the rest of the division, I think teams will be more open to handle if Tampa goes with the quote-unquote opener strategy again. But Snell won't be 1.8 ERA again. But they'll be an 85 to 88 win team. The Blue Jays and Orioles are just looking for talent to start up. Like I said, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I wish he would have started the year, but I know what the Blue Jays are trying to do. They're trying to manipulate his service time. So they'll be the bottom two. Blue Jays might finish probably 75 wins. The Orioles, well, they'll probably lose 100 games again.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I got Anthony with Boston, Rob with Boston, and Tribe Fan with Boston. So now it's my turn because, it is my channel. I guess if we're going to be talking about stuff, I should give my opinion on things. Not that I've been shy about giving my opinion on certain things. All right, so here's what I'm going to tell you guys. And at this point, before, everybody's right and everybody's wrong going into the season because we all have our opinions. We all have our thoughts. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong until we come to my picks because you're all wrong. Name the last time Boston had 2 successful seasons in a row. You can't because they hardly ever have successful seasons in a row. They've lost some key players and they don't have their closer anymore. Now, I don't think their closer, Kimbrel, was that good to begin with, but he's serviceable if you don't have one. I think if you don't have one, maybe the Cardinals should have picked him up maybe or on a fly or whatever, but he wants, $14 million a year or whatever? Awesome.
Yeah, right.
16.
Yeah.
He won 16 million. He's not worth 16 million. I just happened to flip on during lunch today. I watched the Boston Astros game 4 or game 5 from last year, and Kimbrough was in that game, and he was getting pounded, and he did not look like a closer. He didn't look like he knew what he was doing. So I don't think he's that good. Boston, just for me, never has good seasons back to back. I look for a little bit of a drop off from Boston. I think Tampa, again, they picked up Charlie Morton as a pitcher. They signed Snell to a long-term deal now. So he's under, so that pressure of, I've got to perform to earn my money. That's off his shoulders now. We can go out, relax, and pitch like he should. Charlie Morton's going to be a big addition. Mike Zunino is going to be a good addition. But I'm going to pick the Yankees to win this division. The New York Yankees. I actually watched them in person, and they hit 6 home runs in the first 3 innings, and it wasn't even close. They were just head and shoulders above the Detroit Tigers in the preseason game that I saw. I've watched some of their spring training games on TV, and it seems like they're hitting 4 or 5 home runs every single game. There's not a player I don't think on their team that can't power one out, especially in the Bronx. And I think they are going to just overpower most teams. Like one of you said, if they go on a bad streak where they can't actually hit home runs, they could be in trouble, but I don't see that happening. I think Giancarlo Stanton had a bad season. He's going to bounce back. I think they're.
Sorry about that.
That's a dog. I think the Yankees picking up Zach Britton, AJ Happ. They're going to have their pitching, and all they need to do is weather the storm in the beginning of the season. I think the Red Sox are going to implode because they're not going to be as good as they are. So I'm going to pick the Yankees to win the American League East and go against you guys.
All right.
Okay.
I can't argue with that.
I'm not going to argue with that. Like I said,
between those 2 teams,
here.
yeah, I think it's really going to come down to health. I mean, honestly, they're both so close that one bad injury for either team could be the difference in September.
Well, we'll see about that when our wild card picks come up. Let's talk about the American League Central. We got the Indians, we got the Royals, we got the Tigers, we have the Twins, and we have the White Sox. Let's go with Rob first this time. Rob, American League Central. What's your crystal ball telling you?
Well, I tell you what, I think it's a 2-team race again. The Indians are a good team. They're a proven team. They got proven management, but something's just telling me the Twins are going to win it. I just like the Twins. I like their setup. I like the way that they. I don't know. I just from what I've been seeing, They just look. I've been watching them in preseason too. They're looking good. The Tigers. You say you saw the Tigers play the Yankees, and you said the Yankees were head and shoulders above the Tigers. Well, trust me. You think the Orioles are bad? The Tigers right there, they may be looking up to the Orioles this year. They may be a 40-win team. I mean, this Tigers team, I mean, goodness gracious. This team may be the worst MLB team in the last 25 years. I really think they could lose 120 games.
Rob, are they going to be worse than 2003?
They're going to be bad. They're going to be bad. I mean, this team right here, I'm going to tell you right now, they're starting pitching, really. They're going to be on the side of a milk carton because people are going to run them out of town. I'm serious.
Oh, my God. You guys are great.
They are. I mean, their earned run average, which is going to be higher. Their earned run average of J.D. Martinez's slugging percentage. You know, who knows? Because 700, 800, whatever. I'm telling you, man, it's going to get bad in Detroit. And, you know, what's over under how many managers they're going to go through this year? I'm serious. Detroit is going to be in dire trouble. So I'm taking Minnesota.
All right. There you go. And I like it. I like how you came out and you said your words and you stuck to your guns. And whether you're right or wrong, you're going to have to live with those words.
Yeah, they're on YouTube for life.
All right, Tribe fan, you heard what Rob had to say. What do you think?
I will agree that the Twins did make some great additions. Nelson Cruz was a good addition for a team that needed a power hitter. I wish the Indians would have gotten Marwin Gonzalez, which is as bad as their outfield is. I mean, you've got Tyler Naquin playing right field, who's out of options, so he's got to stick with the team. And is he over his hip problems? Is he going to play like is he still going to have problems hitting the high fastball like teams found out in 2016, which when they found that out, Boy was pretty much useless in the postseason. Then you got Leonis Martin, who's playing left field, and he almost died when he got traded to the Indians because he had some virus. And so, you know, the outfield is just – and then Jake Bauers from the Rays, okay, so he hits a little bit. Can he play defense? Now, I will say this, though. With the Indians, I think trading Encarnacion and Alonso, it's just not the style that they want to play. It was too many home runs, too low batting average, and too low on-base percentage. So I'm okay with getting rid of them. Now, I still pick them to win the division because I think their pitching is Barrios is not bad. Somehow he seems to do better than what the Indians do. Their Indians bullpen's a little bit sluggish, I'll say that much. Brad Hand might be worse than Cody Allen, but we'll see. I think the Indians, not because I'm a homer, but because I think of the fact of their pitching, the starting pitching, will be the only reason that they beat out the Twins this year for the division. In saying that, I think the Twins will probably be a close second. The Indians won't be clinching in mid-September like they did last year. Yeah, the White Sox, I think, will be fair. They might finish around 500. And then the Tigers and the Royals, boy, how the mighty have fallen for the Royals. And then essentially the Tigers will be please, Miguel Cabrera, do well so that maybe we can ship you off somewhere in July.
Right. Okay. Very strong words from Tribe fan, and not being a homer, but giving good reasons why. Let's find out what Anthony has to say. The American League Central Division. What do you think, Anthony?
I got to go with Tribe fan. I think it's going to be Cleveland as well. At one point, I thought it might be a fairly comfortable difference between them and Minnesota. And in that division, nobody else has a shot at them outside of Minnesota. I think the key to the Twins is going to be how well Sano can bounce back. He kind of had an off year last year, and he really, especially with the power he has, he kind of drives that lineup. Starting rotation could be special. You've got Odorizzi and Pineda. If they can contribute out of the third and fourth spots, that rotation could be pretty good. And I was very, I know Pineda's had a fairly serious arm injury, but I was disappointed when the Yankees let him go. I thought he could have been a top 2 or 3 rotation guy for them. Cleveland, though, overall, they're starting with Lindor won't be there for the beginning of the season, and Kipnis is banged up too. So I think the middle defense and offense, really, but especially the middle defensive teams is key. And having those two out for any length of time in April is going to hurt the Indians there. But launch season, they'll have plenty of time to make up for it. Outside of those two teams, I'd say Cleveland probably wins by 6 or 7 games. The White Sox are a team I like in the future, and they've got some good young arms, and I think they've done a good job holding on to those arms too to try and develop them. And Moncada, he's going to be a superstar. I don't see things turning out anything but that way for him in terms of being one of the top players in the American League. Besides him, you have Eloy Jimenez, too. He's another bright young player. So the White Sox are going to be a team. They could play a little bit of a spoiler role this year, but I think they're definitely at least a year from being talked about as contenders. Kansas City, they play real close to where I live here, so I always catch a couple of their games each spring. They're kind of going back to old school, and they're not going to win very many games this year for sure. But I think they sure will be fun to watch because they're relying on speed and defense and, again, going back to an old school mentality in terms of the game. And Billy Hamilton, he's electric. There's nobody as fast as him. And even though if they could do a Willie Mays Hayes on him and get him to hit the ball into the ground a little bit, he could have a great season. He's fun on the base paths.
Absolutely.
Detroit, I'll go you one better there, Rob. I think their ERA will be higher than their attendance this season, and that's pretty much
Nice.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, I got the Twins for Rob. I got the Indians for Tri-Fan, and I got the Indians for Anthony. Now comes the real information. First of all, I got this one coming down to the wire. I think this is going to be pretty darn close, but I am actually going to I'm going to go with Rob. I'm going with the Twins as the upset. Number one, as we talked about in the beginning of the show, 25 to 50% turnover every baseball season. You can't have the same teams every year. You bet on the same teams are not going to show up. It's just fact. Go and look it up if you don't believe it. I think because baseball is a person-driven game, and even though it's a team game, look at what the guy did last year for Boston. What's his face? JD Martinez basically powered everyone together on the Boston Red Sox last year. Who does that for Cleveland? And Lindor does that for Cleveland, I think. And with him being out the first month of the season or more, I think the Twins are going to actually have the lead going into the All-Star break. Cleveland has shown in the last couple seasons that they are not willing to make trades at the deadline to improve their chances in the playoffs. I think they're standing pat on their laurels. Yeah. I didn't interrupt you. You can interrupt me afterwards.
All right, well done.
All right. I think they haven't shown to me that they're willing to go for it when they need to, and they've been standing pat with what they have. And with this year, with the Minnesota, I think they're going to start dumping at the trade deadline if they're not 8 or 10 games up. So I predict this is going to be coming down to the wire, but I am going to pick the Twins over the Cleveland Indians this year. You have a problem with something I said, Tri-Fan?
Only the part about trading at the deadline. They did try to improve the bullpen last year when they knew that was one of their weaknesses.
And who'd they pick up?
They got Brad Hand and Adam Simber.
And how'd they do?
Well, the Hand was a little bit handcuffed because they were still using Cody Allen as the closer.
Okay. They picked up a couple guys they didn't even use. So what difference does it make if they picked them up?
Good point. I mean, they thought they were set on offense. It was the pitching they thought they had the problem with. But, when the starting pitching didn't exactly do well.
And I'll throw this out for Minnesota. They might be a team that would, and obviously they're not going to pay him 16 million, but they might be a team that want to look at Kimbrel. You know, I think he could shore that bullpen up a lot because right now at the back end, I think they're just rolling the dice with the people they have.
Yep, I agree. I think Minnesota, they got a taste of the playoffs 2 years ago when they lost the wild card game to the Yankees. They had a taste of it. They didn't do anything last year because they were setting themselves up for this year. Everyone knows modern day baseball is trying to set yourself up for the season you think you can win it. And I think they knew they couldn't do it last year. I think they set themselves up this year. They picked up let's see if I can look. They picked up Nelson Cruz, Lucas Duda, Marwin Gonzalez, Blake Parker, Martin Perez, Jonathan Shope, CJ Cron, all quality players. I think they're gonna have can their pitching hold it together? But if Lindor was starting the season with Cleveland, I would probably, because I think it's that close. I think Cleveland would take it. But without Lindor, there is the catalyst. I see after maybe 30 or 40 games into the season, Cleveland's going to be 5 or 6 behind by the All-Star break. Minnesota's going to be winning the division. That's just my own personal thoughts. My other thing is, no, we'll talk about that when we talk about our surprise teams. All right. So that is the American League Central Division. Let's go on to the American League West. We have the Angels, we have the Astros, the Athletics, and the Mariners, and the lonely old Rangers. So who did we start with? We haven't started with Tribe Fan yet. So Tribe Fan, why don't you give us a start here and let us know what you think about the American League West?
I'm going to go kind of a wrestling kind of theme here. In order to be the man, you have to beat the man. And the man right now is the Astros. And I don't think anybody's beaten them. Well, I think the A's are hungry. I don't know if they have the starting pitching enough. You still have Verlander and Garrett Cole in Houston. And to me, even with losing Marwin Gonzalez and a couple other, maybe a couple other guys, I still think they're the team to beat in the AL West. In saying that, I think the A's have the ultimate weapon in Blake Treinen. I mean, he might not save as many games, but he's lights out. And then I think they're better enough than the Angels, who, in my opinion, they have one of the best players in the game, in Mike Trout, but not much else surrounding him. So, and then the Mariners and the Rangers can go fight for last. Go have fun with Edwin Encarnacion and his 30 home runs and his 230 batting average. And then the Rangers will probably dump Shin-Soo Choo at the deadline if he's not a free agent, but I don't think they're that good anyways.
Right. All right. Well, I got you down for Astros. Anthony, is he right or wrong?
I've got to agree with him again. I love the Ric Flair reference. I think that fits perfectly here. The A's, if the A's, when you're going with Mike Fiers at the top of your rotation, I don't know that that's a team that's going to make a deep run in the postseason. If they had a couple other arms, I think that they would give the Houston Astros a run for it. And the Astros have lost quite a bit too, but they still, again, Cole and Verlander back, and it's crazy to think of the arms that they've lost. I mean, McCullers is out for the year. Keuchel's not going to be back, and Charlie Morton's gone too. I mean, that team would be scary good if they'd been able to hang on to all the arms that they have. But I think it's going to be close, but I don't think the A's have enough in terms of arms to track them down. So in terms of the Angels, agree perfectly with Tribe Fan. It's Mike Trout's going to have a monster year. I mean, he's the best player in baseball. Dang. Did you get that and you're not sharing, IDJ?
I got a nice chocolate brownie.
Yeah, see.
But the wife delivered it to me too. So.
The Angels, they need a lot more pieces. I think the A's will make it interesting for a time, but I think eventually they'll fall back. They definitely have crazy power in that lineup. I mean, Chris Davis is an absolute freak. He's fun to watch hit, but yeah, I think the Astros will repeat again.
All right, Robbie, What do you think, buddy?
Have you heard a parrot talk lately? If you haven't, you're gonna hear one right now because I'm telling you what they said. I think I agree with them. The Astros are the team to beat. The A's, I think they have the most dynamic lineup in the American League, top to bottom. The Angels, um, you got two guys making nearly 60 million a year, and one of them's 45 years old and needs a cane to get to the plate, but they don't address what they need to address, which is pitching. When Matt Harvey is your number two pitcher, okay, you better just pack your lunch and be ready to go out and stay out in the field a while because 3, 4, and 5 is not going to get a hell of a lot better for you. The Mariners and Rangers, you got your 2 dice 6 over there rolling. You can roll them any kind of way you want to. I don't think it's going to much matter. I think maybe the Mariners are just that little bit better than the Rangers, and but the Astros, I don't say they're going to run away with it. I don't think it's going to be 10 games. I don't think it'll be that far, but I think they beat them 7, 8 games. They're comfortable anyway over the A's at the end.
All right. Well done, gentlemen. I got Astros, Astros, Astros for you guys. Now comes what I have to say about it. And I will say you are all correct. The Astros are going to run away with this division. I think it's not going to be close, and I'll tell you why. I think Oakland is last year's Tampa Bay, where Oakland is going to fall off. It's always these one-hit wonders. They come, they show up, they have a good season, and then they go back to form. So I predict Oakland's going to take a big step back, and I think the only challenge that the Astros are going to have is actually coming from the Angels this year. I think with the signing of Mike Trout to a long term, he's going to be committed there. The team is going to have to show Mike Trout and everyone there that, yes, they are going to win in the next couple seasons. So they're going to pick up people at the deadline, even if they're close. But I predict them to be close, so they'll pick up a couple people or make a close run towards the Astros. But I think the Astros are going to win it by 10 or more games at the end of the season. But the Oakland A's, I feel, are going to have a big step back, and they're going to be 3rd or 4th in this division this year. So there you go. So that is the American League division winners. Now we're going to talk about our wild card. So everyone had a chance to go first. I guess that means I should go first, and we're talking about our wild card picks, so you guys can bum off of me and get the right picks, right?
Yes, Mr. Swami.
So here are my 2 wild cards. If I can find them.
He left him in his Stratomatic box. That was a bad joke for you folks that haven't been watching on YouTube. So
You'd probably find his missing players underneath that sheet.
All right, here's going to be my wild card teams. Right. I didn't actually. All right. So I think because the Twins win the Central Division, but I think it's close. I think Cleveland's in as a wild card team. You see, I have WC next to my wild card team there for the Indians. So that should make Tribe Fan a little bit happier with me. And you know who the Cleveland Indians are going to host someone, and that team is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays. I think the Tampa Bay Rays are going to they're going to expand on what they did last season. I think they picked up just enough pitching with Morton. I think they got some quality teams. I don't think Boston even makes the playoff this year. So it's going to be the Indians and the Tampa Bay Rays. And just to make Tribe Fan happy, I'm going to say the Indians are going to win it. So there you go.
Deja vu from 2013.
Exactly. So let's see. We're going to go with, let me get a 4-sided dice out here. Anthony, you'll be 1. Rob, you're 2. Tribe Fan, you'll be 3. It is 3. Tribe Fan, you get to tell us your wild card teams.
Okay, because I think the Yankees and Red Sox will be neck and neck. I'll take the Yankees. Will be hosting, and I kind of just did this last minute because I think it may even come down to a 1-game playoff to determine the second wild card. I'll take the Twins over the A's just because I like they're hitting a little bit more. The A's will rake, but I think that the Twins will be a little bit more consistent.
All right. So you've got the Twins over the A's.
Yes. So the Twins and the Yankees in the wild card game.
Oh, Yankees. Sorry. Okay. So the Twins and the Yankees. So a rematch of 2017. All right, Anthony, you're next.
I'm going to be on that same bandwagon, Twins and Yankees. I think, again, Oakland's lack of arms are going to hurt them. They're going to fade down the stretch despite all the power they have in that lineup. And Tampa Bay, that was a real bold pick, by the way, IDJ. I just don't, I think what they did last year, and they do have some good young players on there, but I think what they did last year with the opener and kind of pioneering that the novelty of that will wear off. And it's just like in football, teams will adjust to you and figure out a way to counter that. And so I don't see them. I see them having a good season, but I think Twins and Yankees will make wild card.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, I tell you what, I really had a struggle with the second wild card team, and then I kind of looked around and I was like, well, the A's won 97 games last year, and let's look and see who they lost. And I mean, it's none of them you wouldn't throw out of the trash dump. It's 10 names right there, and it's none of them I would pick out and say, oh, I really got to have you. And they got Profar from the left of Rangers. He's a decent infielder. I don't think they hurt their calls at all. They sabermetrics or whatever the hell, Moneyball or whatever. I believe in that. I really do. And I really think the Oakland Athletics, I don't think they're going to win 97. I don't think they're going to win that many, but I think they're going to be right there. The Astros may not win 100 themselves, but I think they're going to go visit the Yankees. And that's the worst team in the world that could play the Yankees because that's a team that can run, but they're able to hit the ball out of the park too. A one-game playoff, I'm not going against the Yankees because I just think the Yankees are just, when it comes down to a one-game playoff, everybody in the bullpen is there. All the starters are there. Everybody's there. And I just think talent-wise, from top to bottom, the Yankees are one of the top two teams out there in baseball. And it's just, they can't win. Both teams can't win the division, but they'll win the wild card over the A's, I think, in Yankee Stadium.
I think this is going to be a topsy-turvy season. We can look back at any baseball season. I can pick several out. If we look back at 2007, they had the Chicago White Sox winning last in their division. They ended up winning the division. So you never know. Like I said, everyone's right and everyone's wrong until the season's over. We don't know. All we can do is give our predictions and thoughts about what's going to happen. So you got the Yankees over the A's. Anthony has the Twins and the Yankees with who winning again, Anthony?
Yankees.
Yankees, of course. And then Tri-Fan has the Twins winning over the Yankees. So I'm sorry?
I had the Twins and the Yankees playing, but I didn't think I gave a winner. I'll take the Yankees in that game.
Oh, you want to take the – okay, sorry. All right, so Twins and Yankees, A's and Yankees. So if the Yankees have a bad season, you guys are out. All right, so that is going to be the American League. We're going to leave our World Series picks coming up later. But before we leave the American League, let's talk about two interesting questions we have. So discuss any team you think, maybe you've already mentioned them, maybe not, that you didn't pick to make the playoffs that's going to have a good season, or a team that you think everyone think is going to have a good season and isn't going to have a good season. If you have any of those picks for me, Anthony, we'll start with you, and then we'll go right across. Just give us one or two of the teams that you didn't have in the playoffs that you think are going to be really close and you think are going to be good, or teams that are really going to be, people are thinking are going to be really good and aren't.
I think Tampa Bay is going to be close, and I don't know that that's necessarily a big surprise. I think the thing they really have going for them is they have great team chemistry. And over the course of 162 game season, you can't really underestimate that. So, they'll be troublesome. They have the misfortune of playing in a a division with probably the two best teams in baseball, or you could certainly make a case for that. My dark horse surprise team is actually going to be the Chicago White Sox. And again, I think that Cleveland and Minnesota will separate themselves from the rest of that division. But the White Sox are young. They're very talented. They've got some great arms. They've got some flamethrowers on that pitching staff, and they're going to need time to mature. But a team that's young like that, playing with nothing to lose, they could surprise a few folks and maybe have a much better season than people think.
All right, Rob, you have any teams that you think are just on the cusp, or teams that are going to have a bad season?
Well, I think the Angels, most everybody, most all the periodicals anyway, is picking the Angels at least second, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, I'm looking at their pitching staff, and I'm looking at guys that won't start for most any of the other teams in the American League at all. And I agree with Anthony. I think the White Sox can easily win second. I think they can I think they can finish ahead of the Indians. I don't think they will, but if everything comes into place, I think they can. I think they're more than capable of doing it. The White Sox are going to be a good team. They're going to be a real good team, and they can, they're in that 83 to 90 range, and 90 is right on the cusp of the highest they can get. And 83 is probably about the lowest they're going to get, or maybe 80. So 80 to 90, that's a big difference. And it's all going to come down to their pitching. Their pitching, if it comes through for them, they may be the surprise team, and they may even make it in the playoffs.
All right. Good job. Good job. All right, Tribe fan, what do you got to say? Is there any teams out there that inspire you or really think down on?
Well, I think that the thing with the White Sox is they struck out the most out of any team. Like Moncada struck out a lot last year, and they have to cut down on the strikeouts in order to become any type of good. I mean, you're talking about Carlos Rodon and Ivan Nova and Giolito being 3 of your 5. You might want to try to outscore some teams if you're going to do that, and I don't know if they can do that. But I think they're good enough to get 500 would probably be a good realistic pick. And then I'll agree with the Angels being completely overrated in the fact that, okay, you've got Trout, but it's like you can pitch around the rest of that lineup. And Albert Pujols, who knows how much he's going to play this year, if he's even going to stay healthy.
All right.
I agree.
Well, I'm going to throw some more curveballs at you guys because you have already mentioned my down team, which I think is the Red Sox, just because of history. They don't have back-to-back good seasons. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a little bit better, and they're going to surprise. And by the time Boston realizes they're trying to make a push towards the end, they're just not going to have enough to do it. So I think Boston doesn't make the playoffs, which, is kind of going out on a limb, as Anthony said. But my surprise team for the American League, and this is going to surprise all of you guys, is the Kansas City Royals. I think Kansas City is going to have a good team this year. I think you all and all the prognosticators or whatever the word is, yeah, that's them. Those guys out there are giving a lot of credit to the White Sox, but Tribe fan just hit it on the head. You have to learn how to win in the major leagues. And these young players, is going to take them a couple seasons before they learn how to win. I think you guys are jumping the gun. I think in 2020 or 2021, they're going to be good. I don't think this is going to be the year. So the team that's going to step up actually is going to be the Kansas City Royals. The Kansas City Royals are going to play speedball, which no other team that I can think of in the league is going to be doing. Kansas City's got a lot of speed on their team. They're going to be stealing bases. They're going to be taking, on singles. They're going to go first to third and second to home. They're going to score a lot. They're going to manufacture a lot of runs. And I think Kansas City isn't going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be within 10 games at the end of the season.
And I will say this, though, to kind of – okay, I agree. Whit Merrifield did lead the league in hits and batting average in 2018 and stolen bases. I didn't leave the batting average. Hits and stolen bases.
I think the addition of Billy Hamilton, he's a speed demon. If he can get freaking on base, he's going to inspire everyone else to do the same thing. And I think I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to surprise some people with how good they actually are. They're going to be over 500, I bet.
Wow. I was going to ask you, did you think they'd win 81 games? So you think so?
I think they're going to win at least 80. I think they're going to win at least 80. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I did mention, I think there'll be
Anthony's laughing his ass off at me over there. Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I said in the division previews, I think they'll be a very fun team to watch because they're going to be unique. At some point, though, you're going to get in situations where you need power, and I just think they don't have enough of it.
And that could be, as I mentioned, they're playing small ball. They're going to be the only team in the league that's playing small ball. If they can make it work, they'll be tough. If they can't make it work, then I'll look like an idiot at the end of the season. All right, let's move on. Before we move on, let's talk to our good friends in the chat and say hello to everyone. Bobby Catalano. Check out her channel. Check out her YouTube. Check out her Facebook as well. Rob is there. Oh, what? Oh, what do you got there?
That's for Bobby. She's my 50th subscriber.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yes, she is.
Tell us what's going on.
She won a tote bag, a Brad Keselowski NASCAR tote bag. It's in the mail tomorrow. It's heading your way, Bobby.
All right. Well, congratulations to Bobby. We also have Stratomatic Delaware joining us, so thanks to them. Thanks to Stratomatic for joining us. We also have Rob Hyman. He's been very good in the chat, talking, giving his thoughts about things. If you guys want to do that, feel free. We also have Haley Henning and Candido.
Oh, hey, shout out. That's a shout out right there. I know her.
Candido?
No, Haley.
Oh, Haley? Haley Henning. All right.
Shout out.
And we have Joysters, cards, and coins, as well as Phantomatic as well, and baseball demos. So if you guys are still in the chat, thanks for coming by. We do appreciate it. We are done with the American League. We're going to move on to the National League. Woo! What do you guys think of the American League picks? They were tough, weren't they? I mean, we start looking at things. Was that easier, or was it harder to do the National League, or was it harder to do the American League? What do you think, Tribe fan?
Well, for me, being an American League guy and the closest National League team being about 200 some miles south of me, and not really following the National League as a whole, the National League is way harder for me.
Okay. All right. What about you, Rob? Are you a National League or American League?
Well, I just moved away from Philly just a year ago, and I've always been a Red Sox fan, so I watch both leagues big time. I've always kind of leaned toward the National League just because I just like the pitcher to have to hit. I like a little more management going in. But, you know what, anytime a Red Sox game's on, I'm there, man.
Anthony, you're American League, or you National, or equal?
Yeah, I'm pretty much equal. I just think the National League was a lot harder because I think there's a better competitive balance, at least in two of the divisions over there, that make it a lot harder to pick the winners there. So
yeah. All right, well, let's get to it, gentlemen. We're going to talk National League East. We got the Braves, the Marlins, the Mets, the Nationals, and the Phillies. National League East. Ooh, this is going to be a toughie. Again, we're going to roll a die. Anthony's 1, Rob's 2, Tribe Fan is 3. I'm number 4. Let's see who gets us started off. Once again, Tribe Fan, you're up, number 3.
I think this is the toughest. Well, it's one of the tougher divisions. The East and the Central are very difficult to pick. I mean, the Phillies are going to be the sexy pick because they got Bryce Harper and McCutchen. However, I don't know if Kapler is going to know how to manage all them egos. I think I'm actually going to go with the Braves again, only because it's the quote-unquote devil that I know. I know that they're going to have Ozzie Albies. I know they're going to have Ronald Acuna. And I know I don't see a sophomore slump for either of them. I think the pitching is just good enough to hold off the Phillies and the Nationals. And some might think the Nationals might be a zero-sum game for getting rid of Harper, who – okay, he hit 260, but he usually is at that's probably the best he's hit in 3 years. So I'm going to go with the Braves first. The Phillies and Nationals, you could probably pick 2 or 3. kind of like the Phillies a little bit better. Actually, I like the Nationals a little bit better, only because I like their starting pitching with Strasburg and Scherzer.
All right. All right.
And then the Mets and the Marlins. The Marlins will be dead last.
Yeah, that's a given. We know that, right? No, we don't know anything at this point. Tribe fan, we got you down for Braves. All right, Rob, explanation point. National League East, man.
Brother, if I don't pick the Phillies right here to win this one, I'm going to get killed by my family. They're all sitting there watching me, and they're going to kick my ass. You know what? Tribe fan mentioned Harper, and he mentioned the outfielder. What's his name from? It came
McCutcheon.
from McCutcheon, right? Didn't mention Segura. It didn't mention, actually, I think the best signing they got was Real Muto, the catcher. They have improved their offense so much. And right now, hands down, I think they have the best offense in the National League East. The Mets today scared me. They had that blow up behind the curtain before the game today with Syndergaard. I was going to pick them second or third, but I'm not going to do it now. Syndergaard had a blow up, raising the cane because they hadn't re-signed DeGrom. You can't have that stuff starting at the beginning of the season already where you're going with the press. You cannot be doing that. The Nationals, they're going to be there. They're going to be good. But for some reason, I like the Braves that little bit better, but just that little bit better, I like the Phillies. I'm going to take your Phils. No 100-win team comes out of this division, but JT Realmuto, along with the pitching staff, they got Nola. Nola is really good, and I think they have some guys that are better than most people think. They're going to go as far as their bullpen takes them. If their bullpen stinks like last year, they won't win 80 games. But I think they're going to be a little bit better than that, and I think they're going to win right around 91, 92 games. I'm picking them to win the division, guys.
The Phillies, then.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anthony, what do you got to say about the East Division?
To me, it's the most competitive division in baseball. We'll start with the Marlins. They have the best fish tank in the major leagues. Unfortunately, you can't be sharp for a curveball, so they're not doing anything this year. The other four teams, honestly,
did they get rid of that stupid statue out in center field yet? I know that's one of the things they talked about was getting rid of that stupid statue.
I don't even know. That might be.
I think they were removing it over the summer or over the break.
That statue could be their best player. They should keep him. But
he won't run out of place anyway. He won't move out of place, right?
The other four teams, honestly, I think any one of them could win. But ultimately, you know what, Bryce, I think the Nationals are going to take this division. I think they have the best starting pitching. And their lineup is going to be just as strong, if not stronger, with Harper gone. Infield is solid across from Zimmerman to Rendon, and outfield of Soto, Robles, and Adam Eaton is pretty tough too. And then, guys have already mentioned the pitching. When you have Max Scherzer and Strasburg atop the rotation, if Strasburg stays healthy, and then picking up Corbin, I think getting Corbin and Sanchez actually upgrades the rotation from last year as well over Rourke and I forget the other guy they had. But, yeah, so I'm going with the Nationals. The other teams, I think it'll be a dogfight between the Braves and Phillies, and I think the Phillies will or not the Phillies, the Braves and Mets. I think the Braves will get second place, and Phillies could finish as low as fourth. Sorry, Rob.
Sorry, man. I tell you what, I have to save my skin. You have to save yours,
Hey, as I said, we're all right, we're all wrong until the end of the season. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's true. And the Mets had they didn't have any real sexy pickups, but they had some, they picked up Cano and Lowry, I think, is an excellent addition to that lineup. So yeah, they could surprise people.
All right, so my pick for the East, I'm going to say that Anthony is dead on. I'm going with the Nationals. When you look at what they did, first of all, let's talk about Bryce Harper leaving. I always think I've never been a big. I will preface this with saying I've never been a big Bryce Harper fan. Okay, but when you have one guy on your team that thinks he's the team and he leaves, then everybody else all of a sudden goes, "Oh, we can now play as a team because we don't have that guy on our team that thinks he's everything." Not saying that he does, but I just get that impression that he does that. So without him there, I think the Nationals, if you look at who they picked up Corbin, they picked up Brian Dozier, they picked up Jan Gomes, they picked up Anibal Sanchez, they picked up Tony Sipp, they picked up Kurt Suzuki. They're going to have a really good lineup, I think. And I seen them play the Cardinals the other day, and Matt Scherzer was striking out the Cardinals left and right like they weren't even standing there. He is a beast. He's probably going to get Cy Young this year, but we'll talk about that later when we talk about our Cy Young things.
Yeah.
He is a beast. You got Strasburg as 1A, 1A with those two. You have a very solid lineup, and I'll tell you what, this kid Soto, he is going to be the real deal. If you can get your hands on some Soto rookie cards, they're going to be worth something in 10 or 15 years from now. So definitely do that. I think Soto is going to start putting that team together. I think with all the additions, I think the Nationals are going to be relieved that Harper is gone, and I think they're going to win this division. Although I will say, as Anthony and all you guys said, there is 4 teams in this division that could win it if things go right or wrong. I think it's that competitive. I think this is the toughest division to determine what's going to happen. But in all of baseball, I think the National League East could come down to any one of those 4 teams, and we all know the Marlins aren't in. So that's my thoughts. Let's talk about the National League Central: Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Pirates, and Reds. Another tough division by what I think. What does Rob think, though?
Rob thinks the Cardinals is going to be the winner of this division, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. I like Milwaukee a lot. Milwaukee has impressed me in the preseason. They just have got to get their closer situation done. They're talking this morning, as late as this morning, to what's his name? Kimbrel. Yes, they had Kimbrel's man in Milwaukee today. So I think within a week and a half, he's going to decide whether he's going to go to San Diego or Milwaukee. And obviously, I think Milwaukee's a better choice for him. I think if he goes to Milwaukee, they're right there with him. But I like the Cardinals by that little bit extra. I just think, I'm not. You don't want us to give surprise teams out yet, but the Cardinals and Brewers, I think they're just right there. But I like the Cardinals just a little bit better.
All right, Rob likes the Cardinals.
Goldschmidt.
You're one of the smartest guys that I know.
Goldschmidt could hit 50 this year. He could hit 50 home runs, even in that ballpark.
Tribe fan, what do you think about the Central? Easy division to pick for you, right?
No, and the funny thing is the one of the quote unquote bottom feeders could actually be okay with the talent they got, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. But we won't get into that full detail. But I had my 1A and 1B. I still think the Brewers are the king of that division. Just a little bit more talent than the Cardinals do. I love the fact that the Cardinals picked up Andrew Miller. He might be their closer. I don't know what they're going to do, but him healthy, he is as good as they get. The problem is he wasn't healthy last year with the Indians. So I'm going to go with the Brewers first, and then I like the Cardinals. I don't even think the Cubs. I don't know. We'll see for the Cubs. I think they're aging. That's my problem with their pitching. They're aging.
Yep. All right, Mr. Anthony, what do you think? Easy division to pick or tough? What do you think?
Almost as tough as the NL East. The Cubs, I think, have the most top to bottom talent in the division. But like Tribes fans said, that pitching, I mean, can you really rely on John Lester to replicate the season he had? He had an 18-win season last year, an excellent season, but he's 35 years old. Darvish is a huge question mark. Can he regain his form, and or is he broken from that bad experience he had in LA and injuries? And Hendricks to me is a guy that I know he's got good control. He's kind of like a Greg Maddux light, but he's a guy that I just don't get how he is as successful as he is a lot of the time, because he doesn't really throw that hard. And, he's maybe one of those guys that doesn't pitch hard enough to hit. But I think Milwaukee overall is the best team in the division. And I think that, or the team that will win. Um, not a lot of holes in that lineup. You have Yelich coming off an MVP season. He's not going to replicate that, but he's still a solid player. And I think getting out of Miami was a great move for him. And Kane and Braun in that outfield. I think that's the best outfield in this division for sure. I mean, those are three solid guys. Infield, Aguilar has a power bat at first base, and they're pitching. Starters, again, no sexy names there, just guys that might go out and give you 5 or 6 good innings. And if they can pick up Kimbrel, I think that cements them as the favorite in that division. Right now, if the season started, they'd be going with Hader and Knebel as kind of a 1-2 punch as the closer. But if you add Kimbrel, you have 3 closer quality guys on the back end of that bullpen, and that's huge coming down the stretch in a close race. So I'm going with Milwaukee on that division. Cardinals are not going to be pushovers. They're going to make a run too. And getting Goldschmidt, I know everyone knows that was a great pickup, but watching him play here in Arizona and seeing what he meant to the team and how when he gets going, the Diamondbacks honestly had no business contending as long as they did the last couple of seasons. And Goldschmidt, when he gets hot, can carry a team. So that's kind of the wild card there. If he has the season he's capable of start to finish, he'll have them right in the thick of it.
All right, excellent. Well, if you follow my channel for any length of time, this is my division, obviously, being a big Cardinals fan, being a hater of the Cubs. But here's what I'll tell you. I am going to be picking, not by my heart, but with my brain, and I'm picking Milwaukee to win this division. I know that probably surprises a lot of people, but I'll tell you why. The difference between Milwaukee and Cardinals the last couple of years is the Cardinals have made some very bad trades, and they've got a lot of money invested in players that are not very good. If you look at Dexter Fowler, he had a terrible season. He's not as good as when he was with the Cubs, and they're still keeping on him, thinking he's going to make a comeback. I don't see him making a comeback, so that's a lot of money invested in Dexter Fowler. And last year, I begged and pleaded, do not pick up Ozuna, pick up Yelich. If they would have picked up Yelich, they would have made the playoffs last year. The Brewers did the smart thing and picked up Yelich. They left the Cardinals with Ozuna. Ozuna is not what he was in Miami. I've watched him 2 games. We went to watch him in spring training, and I'm telling you what, there's something just not right with this guy right now. He's not seeing the ball right, or whatever the situation is, and they got a lot of money invested in him. If you look at what the Cardinals did in the offseason, they did 2 things, Goldsmith and Anthony Miller. That's the only things they did in the offseason. They got a lot of money tied up in Goldsmith, hopefully, and as I love Paul Goldsmith. I think he's going to make an immediate impact. He's going to make everyone better on that team. But I think because the Cardinals have so much money invested in these other loser players, I think Milwaukee is going to be that much better than the Cardinals, and the Milwaukee is going to take this division. And that's what I have to say about that. Surprise, surprise.
And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's go to the National League West. Who hasn't gone first yet?
You.
Me? You want me to go first? All right, I think this is the easiest division to pick in the National League, obviously. I don't think the Giants, the Padres, the Rockies, or the Diamondbacks can light a candle to the Dodgers. The Dodgers have proven they've taken a step back. I think they're not as far ahead as they were. They've taken a step back. I don't think the other teams have made that big a stride. It's going to take them a couple years to catch up. I mean, it's just like a race. When you're 5 steps ahead of your competition, it takes them a couple years to catch up those few steps. I don't think any team can go from, this far back. I mean, if they were only a little back, but I just don't see anybody challenging the Dodgers in the West Division at this point. So, Rob, tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
All right.
I'm not going to say you are wrong, but I tell you what, the Dodgers scare the hell out of me right now because they have some good pitching. I'm not even going to call it great, but when you have your Cy Young Award winner shoulder trouble, not in March, in February, and he's going to be throwing in a week. Now he's going to be throwing in 2 weeks. Now he's going to be throwing in a month. Now he's going to start on the DL. That scares the heck out of me if I'm a Dodger fan. And I'm just telling you, they've got too many injuries starting the season on that pitching staff. And I just do not – they scare me. They scare me big time. Now, in spinning around, look at their lineup. They're as good as almost any team in the National League. But there's a team out there I think is just a little bit better, and I think could be the sleeper team in all of baseball, and I call them Colorado. Nolan Arenado, I don't know what it is about that guy. He is just a special player, and I think they're going to be the only team in baseball that has 330-plus home run hitters this year, and Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, and Charlie Black. I think they all hit 30 home runs this year. We'll see. And I think they're going to have 6 hit over 25. So, and then it's going to be coming down to their pitching. If they pitch anything, I mean, I'm talking 3.7, 3.8 earned run average, I still think they win the division. I don't think no team here wins 95 games. But I like your Rockies. I really do.
All right. So Rob's Colorado. Tribe fan. I got the Dodgers. Rob's got Colorado. What do you think?
I think the only issue that I have with the Rockies winning this division is you let Adam Ottavino go to the Yankees. He was essentially your bridge guy. Yeah, that Brian Shaw pickup last year from the Indians. How well did he do? He did so well they left him off the postseason roster. When I listened to the one Indians preseason game or preseason game, they mentioned they spent $100 million on their bullpen, and they were the 3rd worst in the National League. So that kind of precludes me. I love Nolan Arenado as a player. Great range on defense. He can hit. I think he's fantastic. And him and Blackman is a great leadoff hitter for Coors Field. But I just don't think they're as good as the Dodgers are, even with – it's a bad division top to bottom. But I think the Dodgers are still good enough to win that division without even, Walker Buehler could essentially be their number 1.
All right. So Dodgers for Triton. Anthony, 2 Dodgers and a Colorado Rockies. What do you think? Is it going to be close?
7 in a row for Tinseltown. I think it will be close, but I think the Dodgers, they're just solid top to bottom. And even with Rich Hill and Clayton Kershaw being injured to start the season, I think that they'll battle with Colorado, but they'll find a way to prevail in the end, maybe by 3 or 4 games. Again, it's probably the weakest division top to bottom in baseball. The Diamondbacks are going to be in a full-blown rebuild mode. San Diego's got some exciting young talent, and they took a big gamble on Machado, though, tying up that much money. And now their talent has to hit for them to be good in the next 2 to 3 years. And San Francisco, I don't know what the hell's going on out there, but and San Diego and San Francisco, beautiful ballparks. Petco in San Diego is my favorite place to watch a game. and I get down there once a year. It's just a beautiful stadium, but they need to put a better product on the field. Colorado's got some potent bats. I don't need to say anything else about Arenado that hasn't already been said. Marquez and Freeland as the 1-2 in that rotation. Great pitchers, but can they repeat what they did last season? And again, you're still pitching half your games in that altitude. And after those two, really nothing left in the rotation. So, and Wade Davis, he's kind of a retread as the closer, and that could hurt them too in a pennant race. So, yeah, I've got to give the Dodgers the edge in this one.
All right, Dodgers it is. So 3 Dodgers in Colorado for Rob. So now we're going to talk wild card teams. Wild card teams in the National League. We're going to start with Rob this time for the wild card teams.
Yes, sir. I am taking 2 National League East teams. I think this is one of these that could be a playoff. It really could be. I think the Braves are going to host the wild card game. But I tell you one thing, the Dodgers and the Nationals, to me, they could be right there. I don't think division winners, even back to the wild card, is going to be that many. I don't think nobody's going to be a big 10 game leads at the end in the National League anywhere. So I'm going to say instead of the Dodgers, no, I'm sorry, not the Dodgers, the Nationals. I'm sorry, the Nationals and the Braves. I think the East is going to be packed and loaded. Now they may beat each other down, and that might be their problem. But if they don't, the Nationals will go to Atlanta, and I say they beat Atlanta. So,
all right, so Nationals playing the Braves in Atlanta,
and they beat them.
The Nationals taking them out. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 National League East teams. Tribe fan.
All right, I got the Cardinals being just not quite as good as the Birds, but good enough to get the first wild card. And maybe a little bit of a shocker, I think the Rockies can out-hit their bullpen issues. And I'm going to give them the second wild card. So I think the Cardinals will host the Rockies. And in a 1-game playoff, I like the Cardinals over the Rockies.
All right, so Cardinals and Rockies. And Anthony.
I'm going Cubs out of the Central and Braves out of the East as the 2 wild card teams. I think the Cubs, despite the concern with their aging pitching or starting rotation, they have enough in the lineup to get in there ahead of the Phillies. And the Braves, the Braves just a good, young, talented team, and that they could win first in that division too. I know I took the Nationals, but I think the Braves get in as the first wild card.
All right. So you got the Cubs and the Braves, and who wins? I'm sorry.
That's a tough call. I think, at that point of the season, just due to the age factor, I think the Cubs pitching might be a little bit more worn down. And at this point, they've got to rely on Pedro Strop as their closer. And he's got electric stuff, but man, he is a head case sometimes. So in the pressure of a big game, I've got to go with the Braves.
All right, Braves over the Cubs. Rob has the Braves hosting the Nationals. The Nationals are going to win that one, and Tribe Fan has the Cardinals hosting the Rockies. All right, so my picks for our wild card teams. I would go with Tribe Fan. I think the Cardinals are that close. I think Goldsmith is going to make everyone better on their team. The Cardinals have desperately, for the last few seasons, they needed a big bopper, somebody can show everyone else how to hit and make sure they don't waste their at bats. if he can get rid of a couple of the players that are not doing very good. They replaced Fowler last year with Bader. Bader is an up and coming player. I think he's going to be really good in center field, and Fowler won't see as much action. Hopefully, they trade him, get him out of there, get him to some other team. Maybe he'll resurrect his career. But I think the Cardinals are going to host, and this is going to be a big surprise to you guys. Again, I'm going back to my wild craziness. I think the Cardinals are going to host the New York Mets coming out of the National League East Division. I think the addition of Broxton, Cano, Davis, they got Raji Davis as well. They got pitching in Diaz and Familia. They have their starting pitchers. I know Rob said they had some issues going on behind the scenes before their playoff or their preseason game today. Hopefully, once the season starts, the best thing that cures is winning. And if the Mets can get off to a good start and continue to win, I think things will start being smooth. They already talked about the pitcher there. Syndergaard said that if he doesn't get a contract, he's not going to talk about it during the season. So once the season starts, I think the Mets are going to put things together. And I think they're actually going to come out second in the East Division, and they're going to go to St. Louis. But I think St. Louis is going to win that game. So I have St. Louis over New York in the wild card.
All right.
All right. So there we go. We've got our National League teams. Once again, we're going to talk about teams that you think are that close or pretty darn close to making it to the playoffs, but didn't make it for you. Or teams that you think are going to be having a really down season that people think are going to have a good season. So let's start with Tribe Fan this time.
I think the Reds might. I don't want to say they'll be good, but they'll be a pain in somebody's backside come late in the season. With Kemp and Puig and a couple of good starters, and Eugenio Suarez is a good third baseman. They won't be great, but they won't be a team that you look at the late schedule and go, oh no, not Cincinnati. Because they might come up and you need those wins late in the season, and they might be a team that prevents you from getting them. Also, I think the Mets with Chapman not Chapman, Cespedes. Hopefully he'll be healthy with getting the heel surgery. They could be interesting because they do have the good starting pitching. And, they did add some teams, but they play in a tough division. But they're also going to be a team late in the year. They used to have the big collapse at the end. And, maybe they'll be the team that says, yeah, you're not going to win this year because we're going to prevent that.
There you go. All right. So he's got the Mets on the cusp. So, Anthony, who do you predict good or bad? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are you thinking?
I've got a 1A, 1B for potentially good, and the Mets. I've got to get on that bandwagon too. They could win that division. When you trot out Syndergaard, DeGrom, and Wheeler 1, 2, and 3, you have a pretty damn good chance to win 3 out of 4 games in every 4-game series. And with those 3, when you get into the postseason, when you go to a 3-man rotation, it's a dangerous team. And they addressed some needs. I think Cano, despite the fact that he's aging, will have a great season. So the Mets are my potential surprise. And I also agree with Tribe Fan about the Reds. They made some sneaky good moves. You didn't see anything that said, wow, the Reds just did this. But they're quietly bringing in pieces. They still have Joey Votto, who is as good an offensive player as there is in the game. So if they get a little bit of pitching, I don't see them making the playoffs, but I think they can be a pain in the butt down the stretch. And like you said, teams don't want to see them on the September schedule because they're dangerous. My disappointment is going to be the Phillies. I think they actually end up finishing 4th in that division. And I'm going to say they don't finish more than 3 or 4 games over 500. I think chemistry is such a huge thing in baseball over a long growing season. And again, I don't know that Harper is a bad clubhouse guy. I'm just not convinced he's a good clubhouse guy. And I think that will matter a little bit.
All right. I'm going to jump on your bandwagon because I agree with just about everything you said. My kind of down a lot of people are predicting is the Phillies, as Rob said, are kind of the sexy pick. Oh wait, Rob, did you get a chance? You didn't get to go, Rob, did you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
That's all right. That's all right. You can go third if you want to.
All right, I'll go, and then why don't you go last? All right, I'll jump on
Sure.
what Anthony said. I think the Phillies, they added a lot of really good pieces, but you start trying to put those pieces together, it's going to take a little while. They, like we said, this division for me was the toughest. Phillies can end up winning this division for all I know, but I think having all those really good players is really good, but you got to get them to all gel together. So I think it's going to take a season for them to learn and figure out what kind of lineup works, what kind of lineup doesn't work. I see the Phillies as, like Anthony said, I think they're going to come in fourth. I think it's going to be Nationals, and then it's going to be the Mets, and then the Braves, and then the Phillies. But like we said, it could be any one of these four winning the division, so it's hard to say. And I will also jump on what you guys said. My surprise sleeper pick was kind of be the Reds. I think the Reds are going to surprise people. I think the Cubs are actually going to fall to fourth in division because I think it's going to go Milwaukee, it's going to go St. Louis, and then it's going to go Cincinnati, and then the Cubs last. I think the Cubs haven't done anything to help their cause much in the last couple of seasons. And Cincinnati, if you look at Cincinnati's pickups, they got Derek Dietrich, they got Zach Duke, they got Sonny Gray, they got Jose Iglesias, they got Matt Kemp, they got Yasiel Puig, they got Tanner Rourke, and they got Alex Wood. All really good pickups. I think Cincinnati, like Anthony said, they're not going to be, upper echelon team, but you don't want to be facing Cincinnati in September. When you're 6 games back and you need to win against Cincinnati, you don't want to be facing Cincinnati because they could have a good game and just blow you out. So I think Cincinnati is going to be my thumbs up surprise team. Rob, what do you got to say about all this?
I can't say a whole lot different from what you guys said. I think the Reds are going to be. I think they're going to be 500 or better, or a darn good chance to be 500. I think they're a good team. I think the Reds. I think the Cubs are dead last. I really do. I'm picking them last in the division. I just they did nothing to help themselves. They got a lot of good bats, but looking in National League, you talk about where they play in Wrigley Field, the little bandbox. Well, you look from the National League East all the way to the bottom of the West. Everybody's bringing in boys that can knock it ball over the fence, and they're going to have fun. I think they're going to have some fun in Chicago. I really do, and the visiting teams will. And I don't think the Cubs can come near 500 this year. I don't think so. Anyway, I think the Pirates are better than them. I don't think much, but a little bit. I think it's going to be close. But the Reds, people laying on the Reds right now. If the Reds come out of the chute, and let's say they go 12-2 or 12-4 to start the season, beware St. Louis, beware Milwaukee. Cincinnati's home, and they're not going anywhere this year. They're going to be tough.
All right. Any teams you see that are people think are going to be good, or besides the Cubs? The Cubs. Okay, the Cubs. All right.
I just don't think the Cubs are as good as everybody thinks they are. Anyway.
All right.
Unless you want to say the Marlins, unless anybody else thinks the Marlins are good.
You just never know, buddy. I'm telling you. Who knows? All right, so now comes the time where we are now going to give our World Series matchups. Again, guys, don't give your who winning. Don't give your opinions a thought. You can tell what you think is going to happen during the playoffs or anything like that. But don't tell us who's going to win. We're going to have another round of who's going to win. We just want to know your matchups. So once again, the magic 4-sided dice comes into play. Who's going first with their World Series 2019 matchup? It's me, number 4.
It's him.
All right, I got to find out who I had. I got to look through my sheets to see. All right.
Are we going to pick Cy Young and MVP as well?
We'll do that at the very end because
Gotcha.
we were running out of time last time, so I figured we'll get the World Series and then we'll talk Cy Young and MVP. So my matchup for the World Series in 2019, I think the American League playoffs is going to be pretty interesting. I think in the National League, there's going to be a couple powerhouse teams, and they're going to blow through it. It's going to come down to the Nationals and the Dodgers, and I think the Nationals are going to the World Series. And in the American League, wow, it's going to be a crazy playoffs in there, and anything can happen in the playoffs in the American League, like it's happened the last few years. But I think the two teams battling out to go to the World Series are going to be the Yankees and the Astros. And I think the Astros take it in 7. So my World Series preview is Astros Nationals. So let's find out who gets to go after that awesome pick. Number 2, Rob.
All right. I agree with you in the American League. I think after the A's and Yankees play their wild card game, the Red Sox, I pick them to win the division, and the Twins to win their division. But the Astros are just, I just think they're too good, and I like them to go to the World Series. National League, man, I tell you what, something about these Rockies this year, I do not know what it is, but I like the Rockies this good. I like them better than the Phillies. I like them better than the Braves. I like them better than the Nats, better than the Cardinals, better than the Brewers, better than the Dodgers. And I just think the Astros, Rockies. I'll be the only one in 10,000 people on YouTube that picks them, but that's who I say is going to the World Series.
That is a gutsy pick, man. I love you for it, man. I love you for it. Tribe fan, what do you say?
I honestly don't. If it's going to be the Red Sox having the best record facing the Yankees, if it's the Indians and the Astros again, I think it's going to be a repeat of. I don't think the Indians are going to win a game. I think there's that much of a difference between the Indians and the Astros. So I'll take the Astros and the Red Sox again. And I'm sorry, I can't. I think the Red Sox play too good a defense and just get that timely hitting that they got last year. Just not only did they had great defense and timely hitting. And so I think the Red Sox are coming out of the American League. The National League, I think the Brewers are going to get over the hump this year. Their pitching was suspect last year, and I think maybe they'll get over their issues. You know, they got to that hump. You know, they got to the NLCS, and they're going to be hungry. So I think it's going to be a Brewers Red Sox, probably one that's not going to be great for the networks, but it's going to happen, I think.
All right, Anthony, you've heard our picks. How crazy are we?
Some of you are only half crazy. No, I like the Nationals in the National League as well, and reason being, I talked about it when I was talking about the Mets as a surprise team in a short series. When you can roll out the 3 starters that Washington can, Scherzer, Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin, that's a pretty lethal 1-2-3 in a divisional series or the championship series. So I like the Nationals coming out of the National League. I think it'll be a dogfight between them and the Dodgers, but I think they get it. American League is tough, and this is going to seem like a big homer pick, but I'll give you my reasoning for it. I think now the Yankees, I have them winning the wild card, and the Twins, if that's who they play in the wild card game, is a very dangerous matchup for them. And I think Rob mentioned that. If they get past the Twins, I think the Yankees will come out of the American League. If I think that they'll get past Boston in a short series. One of the big reasons there is that the addition of James Paxton. He's had good luck against the Red Sox, and I think if the Yankees bullpen is healthy, that's going to be the difference maker for them coming out of the American League. But it could be Boston, it could be Houston. I mean, I don't see Cleveland making it. I think any one of those 3 teams, whoever's hot at the moment, goes in. I'm just predicting and hoping it's the Yankees.
So for you guys watching, and now Red Sox fan and Sports Time Machine is here, and a lot of our other Dave Whittle. So we have IDJESTERs picking the Astros and the Nationals. We have Anthony picking the Nationals versus the Yankees. We have Tribe Fan picking the Red Sox versus the Brewers. And we have Rob picking Colorado versus the Astros. So now we're going to give you our World Series champion and why we believe that. So let's go to the Magic 8 Ball again. That's me. Damn. I wanted to go last. Damn it. All right. I'm actually going to pick something, and I'm going to tell you that's going to change the way baseball is done next off season. I'm going to pick the Nationals to win it all against the Astros in 6 games, and I think that a lot of teams are going to see that this big name free agents, you can win without them, especially somebody like Bryce Harper. And all of a sudden, these big contracts are not going to be they're not going to come to fruition anymore because the owners are going to see that the Nationals just lost a guy and it didn't cost them $300 million or $300 million plus. And now I can get 2 guys to replace that guy for $10 million a season. And we're twice as better off spending our money instead of getting these big free agents. So I think it's going to change the landscape when the Nationals defeat the Astros this year, and the owners are no longer going to spend big money on these free agents, except for maybe some pitchers, the pitchers. And what's going to end up happening eventually is the players are going to get upset because they're not getting all this money that they're getting now. And I think in 3 or 4 years, the strike happens. I'm just predicting it now, unfortunately. And it's all because the Nationals win this season and the owners see that they don't need to spend the money. And number 2, so we're going right over to Rob. Number 2.
All right. Before we go, hi, Haley and Tyler. I know you've been watching us tonight, and I'm glad you have. I'm proud of you. You know what? I look at the Rockies, and I really, really like their lineup, but their pitching just cannot stick with Houston, man. Houston just has one of the best pitching staffs out there, and let's see how Bregman comes back. Bregman's coming back from surgery, and I just think the Astros are just a little bit better and maybe a lot better than the Rockies by the time it's over with. Astros in 5.
Astros in 5. And just so you know, Haley saw your greeting. She says, "Go Phillies," and hello to you back.
All right. Good deal.
All right, Anthony, you'll be even. It's an odd number, so Tribe Fan, you get to go third.
I think in the World Series, I think with the fact that it's going to be tough because, like you said, you get the AL-NL dynamic. I think the pitcher hitting could be rather interesting, although Brendan Woodruff, if he's still with the Brewers, presents an interesting dynamic that the Brewers might have. But I still think with the pitching and defense that the Red Sox bring, I think it's going to be Boston in 6.
Boston over the Milwaukee in 6.
You need to have this guy on more often.
All right,
I'll be happy to come on.
Without further ado, Anthony, let's hear from the expert out there.
Are we going to get 28? No, we're not. It's going to be the Nationals over the Yankees in 7. And again, I go back to that rotation short series, those 3 guys trotting out. I think they get, because you can get more innings out of them than the Yankees are going to get out of their bullpen. I think the Nationals win a very exciting World Series 4 games to 3.
All right. Excellent. So there you go, guys. We have Nationals over the Yankees by Anthony. We have the Red Sox over the Milwaukee Brewers. We have the Astros over Colorado. And, of course, we have the Nationals over the Astros. So 2 of the 4 of us pick the Nationals to win the 2016 World Series, 2019 World Series. There we go. So, guys, if you want to give me your picks for MVP and Cy Young for either the National League or American League. We'll go with Tribe Fan first. If you have any thoughts about it, if you don't, that's fine too.
I'm just going to throw some names out there. NL Cy Young, he just got paid by the Cardinals. Miles Michaelis. If the Cardinals are going to be any good, he's going to have to be very good. The AL Cy Young, it's not really a pitching heavy league, so I'm going to go with Garrett Cole from the Astros.
Wow, nice pick. I like that.
And then for the NL MVP, Nolan Arenado, just because of what I said earlier. And just for a crapshoot for the AL MVP, Aaron Judge.
Wow. All right. Anthony, you have any thoughts on Cy Young or MVP, either league?
I love that pick in the AL for MVP.
I know.
National League, I'm going with Scherzer for Cy Young, and I agree on Arenado. Arenado, such a dynamic player playing in such a hitter-friendly ballpark. I mean, it should almost be legal. American League, tougher to pick. I'm also going with an Astros pitcher, but I'm going with Verlander, despite his aging. I think he's got another great season left in him. And MVP, that's just tough. I wrote down before this started either Altuve or Trout, but I think for Trout to win, despite the fact he'll probably have a great season, your team has to do something, which I don't think the Angels will do. So I'm going to go with Altuve for MVP in the AL.
Wow. Excellent. Wow. All right, Rob, do you have any thoughts on MVP or Cy Young?
Yeah, let's go with Cy Young. We all went with Astros. I'm going with Astros as well. Garrett Cole. I like that pick. I like that pick all the way around. MVP in the American League. You know what? If you hit 45 home runs and you knock in 100, I don't care if and you're clean cut as Michael Trout, you'll win the MVP. I think he wins the MVP this year. He's not going to let the pressure of 20, 40 million a year, 35, whatever a year, bother him. MVP Mike Trout. MVP in the National League, I'm going with Nolan Arenado too. I think possibly the best offensive season by any player in 2019. I think he hits over 300. I think he'll hit in excess of 45 home runs, in excess of 120 RBIs. I think the guy is going to do it this year. He may hit 50 and 130. He may do it. Cy Young Award winner, I'm going to go with a Brave. I'm going with Mike Foltynewicz. You don't hear too much of him, but every time I saw him play last year, which my dad forced me at the TV every time the Braves were playing, he was like, Rob, come here, come on. We got to watch the Braves. And I had to sit there and watch him with him. He's a good pitcher. He's a real good, better than good. He's a great pitcher. So Foltynewicz, I think he's my Cy Young Award winner in the National League.
All right, beautiful. I have MVP in the American League. I'm picking Correa from the Astros. And for the Cy Young in the National League, I'm going with Matt Scherzer. I think the guy's a beast. I think he's gonna prove, and I think because the Nationals are going to be so good, it's always those teams that are really good, and it kind of gives him the edge up on the other competition when your team is doing really good and you're doing really good personally. So I think that's going to be that. So any other random thoughts about anything from any team, player, or rule changes, or teams moving from one town to another? Any other just thoughts off the top of your head that you want to bring up? Just go ahead. Now's the time to do it because we're winding things down here.
Go ahead. I'll let you go, Rob.
Go ahead, Rob.
I hate the 30-second pitch clock. If I don't have time enough to go to a ball game, I'm not going to go. If somebody just that's kind of like your parents telling you can go out there on the playground and play for an hour and a half and then you got to come back. I don't like that. I hate that. Tampa, I think you're short-lived in Tampa. I really do. I think you could be going to the dump in New Orleans before it's all said and done, and probably not have any more success than you're having right now. Montreal, I think, is pipe dreams. I don't think they're going to get Tampa. I think that's going to be a pipe dream there. And Daniel Murphy for the Rockies. I wanted to give a shout out to Daniel Murphy. No one said anything about him. I think he was one of the biggest signings of the offseason too, and the Rockies got him. I forgot to even mention him. I'm sorry.
No, he's an awesome player. Love him. Yeah,
he's a good ball player.
All right, Tribe fan, you look like you want to say something.
All right, so I did play a year of junior varsity baseball, and so in the state of Ohio, there's a rule where that you have to keep 1 foot in the batter's box at all times, and if you step out with both feet without calling time, it's a strike. Where is that in Major League Baseball? Because there's no way that you're adjusting both your batting gloves and adjusting everything else without doing all that. Also, this 3-batter rule is just nuts. I don't like it at all.
I agree.
Sadly, I think the pitchers might realize if they go quicker, they might be better. It's all this thinking and just go. You know what you're doing out there. It's like, why are you just messing around? It's like, I don't know. I'll kind of agree with Rob on the Montreal point, but it's not because it's a pipe dream. I think it's because of the way the Canadian dollar is.
All right.
The economics just aren't going to allow it.
Anthony. Oh, I'm sorry, Tribe. Go ahead if you're.
No, it's all right. I think that's about all I have.
All right.
Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
I think the Major League Baseball will go the way of the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League had this exact same problem with these 12-year contracts, and they said, no, 8 years is the max. That's it.
Yes, they did. They put a limit on how long you can sign a player for.
That's
Anthony?
all I have to say about that.
In terms of rule changes, I at one point liked the pitch clock, but when you think about it, what do you really get done with the pitch clock? You know what I mean? Watching, they're using it in spring training games. No one pays attention to it anyway. So how do you enforce that? I love what Tribes fans said. When you get up in the batter's box, you don't need to pay homage to Mike Hargrove every time or Toby Harrah, the human rain delay, every freaking time you hit. Okay? And put your stuff on, stand in the box and hit, and that's going to make the pitchers come faster. And the other thing, even going to base, they got to take off 17 pieces of gear. They break out. My wife and I at the Royals game, we're laughing because they're putting on oven mitts, those damn sliding gloves. Why do you need a sliding glove? When I played, I used to be proud to go home with bloody shins and cuts and rocks in. You know what I mean?
My wrist stealing 30 bases.
Yeah.
You're sending them to war, guys. You're sending them to war. You're taking off combat stuff.
Pretty soon the NFL is going to send all their quarterbacks to play baseball because baseball players protect themselves more. It's nuts. I don't like the 3-batter rule either. Maybe to start the game, but I think in late innings from the 7th on, that lefty specialty or the closer coming in to get 1 or 2 outs, that's part of the game, you know? So, and then the other thoughts I just want to close. I think it's actually refreshing to see what is happening with free agency and the way the teams are building now. I think a big problem with baseball losing fans from the 90s to, maybe 4 or 5 years ago was the fact that you could never keep track of who is on the team year to year. And growing up in the 70s and been an adult in the 80s, one of the things I really liked is I knew year after year what the lineup was for the Yankees. I could recite them. I hate the Dodgers, but I could tell you right now their main lineup in the 70s was Garvey, Lopes, Russell, Say, Dusty Smith, Dusty Baker. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's refreshing that teams are building now and bringing players up, investing in young players. And I think they have to change the service time arrangements to take care of those young players. Right. And that will also get rid of the ugliness we've seen in free agency lately. That's it.
All right. Well, it's all great points. I'll kind of talk a little bit about what you guys talked about. The 30-second clock, I think they're doing that. They implemented that to teach players to keep the pace going, keep the pace going, keep the pace going. If you go back and watch on YouTube any game from 1990, 1991, 95, when the pitcher got the ball back, he was already, looking in for a sign. I think what they're going to do here eventually is they're going to obviously institute the 30-second clock, but that's just to train the pitcher to go, 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 go. After a couple years, pitchers know that, okay, time to go, time to go, time to go, time to go, keep the action going. And then they're going to change the rule, I predict, in a couple of years to be anytime the pitcher wants to pitch it, once the umpire calls play ball, balls in play. Anytime the pitcher wants to pitch it, he can pitch it. So if the batter steps out of the box, the pitcher throws the ball, it's a strike, it's called a strike. If you're not ready as the batter, that'll keep things going faster and faster. I think that would be, I think a lot of the rules are kind of trying to implement what we had back in the 80s and the 90s, where when the pitcher got the ball, he didn't just, do 12 different things and get ready. The batter didn't step on the box and attach his gloves and everything like that. As far as the three pitcher, three batter minimum for each pitcher, I was in favor of that. But the more I hear you guys talk about it, the more I understand the other side of the story. It kind of takes away from the essence of baseball, where it's if I gotta you're basically changing like the core rule of it. And so I've been kind of wavering on that one, and I could go either way on that. I think again, there's things they could do if they're really worried about the speed of the game. Why the hell does the manager need to walk out to the mound to get the ball from the pitcher? That makes no sense to me.
I agree.
Why spend 45 seconds for the manager to walk out there and then the guy has to run all the way in? You know what I'm saying? That's just extra time. If they're worried about speed of the, no action. It's not how long the games last. Okay, that's not the real problem with baseball. The problem with baseball is there's nothing going on at all times. People want to be entertained at all times. They don't want to sit here and watch players talking on the mound and stuff. They want to see something going on. So you need to get rid of all that BS stuff and keep the action going, like hockey and football and basketball. Those three sports specifically, if you compare baseball to any one of those three sports, the action is always going on in those three sports. In baseball, you have times where the manager's walking out to the mound, he gets the ball, the guy's got to walk out, then the other player has to walk in. And I think they can do a lot to actually keep the action going in the game. All they have to do is implement when the pitcher's ready to throw it. If you're not ready, too bad. Pitcher throws it. It's a strike. It's a strike. If you're not in the batter's box ready to swing, it's your fault, buddy.
If you're in your 50s like we are too, do you remember when they used to have golf carts to wheel them out there to the mound? They didn't have to run out there. Wheel them out there, get their asses out there, and bring it back. I mean, get a go-kart and get them out there.
I was going to say, bring back the golf cart. And some of those things now, they go about 50 miles an hour, so he could be out there in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
absolutely. The biggest issue I see for baseball coming up, okay, was I went to the St. Louis and Washington's preseason game, and it was pretty well split at the stadium, about 50-50%, 50 for the Nationals, 50 for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are very supportive fan base, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And they have their spring training just up the road from where they play the Nationals. When we went to the St. Louis Miami game, it was 99% Cardinals at the Miami game. There was maybe 10 people in the stadium we saw the whole day that had Miami shirts on. And I see that a big problem, because if the local teams don't support their team and they get outrun, then they're not going to be a viable place to play baseball. I see that as the major issue. They need to make it more ability for teams to have a chance every single year. I don't think there has that. The NFL has done a good job, and back in the '90s, you had these dominant teams like the San Francisco and Dallas. Every single year was San Francisco or Dallas, San Francisco or Dallas, year after year after year. People get sick of that. They build their loyal fan base. When you talk about the two biggest sports teams out there, Dallas and San Francisco, that's because they kept winning all the time. So when if you have Miami or you have the other teams that aren't very good right now, and they're not very good for 4 or 5 years, like Detroit or the White Sox or the Arizona, how are you going to get fans in Arizona for the next 3 or 4 years when they're not very good? The only fans that are going to come are the teams, the visiting teams when they come in to that stadium, and I see that as a big problem. They need to lower the bar and make more teams equal. What do you guys think about that?
That happens here in Arizona anyway, because nobody's born here. We all come from other places. So
yeah, how about minimum? I mean, we all want to get on the Red Sox and Cubs and Yankees for spending too much. Why don't we get on these teams like the 25th through the 30th that don't spend and force them? Okay, you're an owner. You're an owner of a baseball team. If you don't spend that amount, guess what? We're going to fine you of that amount, and it can go back to the fans or whatever. But you should not be able to raise the ticket price to a AAA team like Tampa, or not Tampa, but Miami, and be sitting down there paying $28 million for a season for all your players. That's a joke. That's a joke.
All right, I got one. I agree with you. How about this? If you don't spend the minimum, you don't get the revenue sharing money.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
I mean, we all love the game of baseball. I know a lot of you guys, sports simmers out there, a lot of our guys on our channel, Dave Gardner, Al Red Sox fan. I mean, we all love the game, but they need to definitely fix it before we end up with a stoppage. And, some of these rules they're implementing, it's not the right way to do it, which I think a lot of us can agree on. Sometimes we don't disagree. They're talking about getting rid of the, making it so that both leagues are DH. And, I would not like to see that, but,
right.
To get everything uniform, that is, is kind of, I'd almost be willing to sacrifice that for other things. You know what I'm saying? I know Anthony's a big DH guy as well. What do you think, Anthony?
I really don't have a preference either way. I like the strategy that the pitcher hitting bring. To me, it just needs to be uniform. It's either both leagues or DH, both leagues pitcher hit. I mean, I think that'll fix a big part of the game. And, the other thing is, like I mentioned in my little impassioned rant about building from within now, as teams keep these young players and a new bargaining agreement has to take care of them when they're earlier in their career so that they want to stay in that city versus basically having them, and it's not work for cheap, but work for a lot less than most of the players are making. Then you have these big balloon payments. That doesn't work well for mortgages. Why the hell should it work good for a baseball team, which is also a business? And then that will get fans to invest in these players, especially the younger kids, and bring more people out to the ballpark.
Yep. Tribe fan?
Well, I think part of it is the reason the Indians won in the 90s, they drafted well, they signed their players to long-term deals, and the fans saw it as good enough. They sold out the season before the season even started. So the owner knew how much money he had to spend. So I think that's part of it too. It's like, how can you get a team excited when they're not, like, the windows have to be larger, I think. I mean, you do have to have the one villain team, because if you've got different World Series teams every year, it looks nice, but you got to have that one that's kind of constant to have that kind of building up of, hey, we finally beat the big team. Like, kind of think of the NBA in the 80s.
Right.
Type deal.
Right.
And just look at Rob now wearing the villain's cap in the chat. We all hate him because of that right
now. You may hate me worse after what I say here. I've always kind of liked to watch the DH just because I like to see runs scored. But I think you're opening up yourself a Pandora's box if you put both leagues with the DH for one reason. You start if somebody starts throwing at somebody, especially if somebody's got the big mouth, especially in 2019. You got your mouths running and you got your Twitter accounts and all that junk going on, and you start throwing at people. It makes you a little more jumpy if you got to get in the box yourself with a bat in your hand to throw at somebody when you realize somebody can throw 100 miles at your head. So, I kind of am on a fence both ways. I like to watch a lot of runs getting scored, but I like the pitcher to be accountable. And the best way for him to be accountable is get his ass in that box and make him stand there after he's done thrown at your best player 2 or 3 times. Guess what? He'll dance, and if he can't dance, somebody will show him how to dance real quick with a 100-mile fastball in his brains.
I'll bring up something on the pitcher here. I don't understand why they wouldn't just have the pitcher. I mean, if you're in Little League, how would you like being the starting pitcher and not being able to hit?
Right.
I just don't get it. It's like you come up and you've hit all throughout at least through 18 years. And then after you graduate high school, you're supposed to not hit?
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite moments are like when the pitchers hit, because I saw Indians players hit home runs. Like CC Sabathia crushing one down the right field line at Dodger Stadium was awesome. Or him hitting one over the center field wall in Cincinnati.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
I love seeing that. Or Chad OJ getting 2 RBIs in the World Series in '97.
Yeah, Miles Michaelis, you talked about him for Cy Young this year for the Cardinals, hit a home run the other night in the spring training game.
It's like you're taking the bat out of the hand.
Guys, we're going to end with this. I know we could go on. We could do another episode of this. We could talk more baseball, whatever. Here's what I would like to say, though, as far as going on what Tribe fan says. When you look at the Little League World Series teams, when they're playing, the best player on their team is the pitcher. He hits the best. He throws the best. He's the pitcher of the team. Same thing in high school. Usually the pitcher is usually your best player and also your best hitter. So what happens between high school and when they come out at 21, 22 years old in the major leagues or in the minor leagues? They've been trained for those 3 or 4 years not to bat, and all of a sudden they can't bat. Simple way to fix this, in my opinion, is for the baseball to say in 2022 we're switching the league to both teams are now going to play the same way, and we're going to get rid of the DH. And you have 3 years to prepare all your players that are coming up to be able to bat, because they're going to do that. And I can almost guarantee you in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years from now, all of a sudden the pitchers are going to be better hitters than they are currently.
I agree totally. And you could even expand the rosters to 26 and maybe reduce how many you can call up in September. And again, fix the service time issues. And you're right, the pitchers will learn to hit again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for our fine guests. We've gone kind of a little bit over, but I just want to, we had a little bit more time to discuss some things. I had a great time with Anthony from Bleacher Bums Gaming. Check out his channel. Look for his announcement coming soon. He's going to give us the final release date for Glory Days Boxing. Can't wait to check that out. We got Rob, exclamation point. He's got the racing going on. If you don't have a car, is it too late, Rob? Can they get a car or not?
We've got all 20 drivers in, and we're going to have our first race on my channel, capital R, little O, little B, space, exclamation point, Rob. Tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Red, White, and Blue Racing, YouTube Racing League, and the 18 cars planning on winning.
And Tribe fan, you got your 2016 Minnesota Twins replay. Anything, any special game coming up for that soon?
There should be a Twins Week in Baseball coming up. That's my recap show. I think I only have 1 game left in the Yankees series, so look for that coming up this week. I don't know who plays after, so I don't know what game I'm going to stream.
All right. I definitely enjoy the fact that we don't have, we're busy. Everyone's got a busy life. But if you want to keep track of what's going on Tribe Fans channel, he does a recap where he doesn't actually play every single game on his channel. He'll recap the 2 or 3 games he plays offline so you can keep up with what's going on. So it's a great idea. I'm actually thinking about doing that myself as well. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We got to thank our great folks there in the chat. Dave Whittle, Rob, Edmund, Al Red Sox fan, Dave Gardner, Dave Little, Ken Castro, Sports Time Machine, of course, Larry Harris. We also had a friend of Rob's out there, Haley Hannigan. Hello, Haley. Everyone wave hi to Haley. Hi, Haley.
Haley and Tyler. Haley and Tyler. Hi.
Let's see what else we got. Larry Harris, Dave Little. I don't want to miss anybody. Sports. Stratomatic Delaware, Bobby Catalano. I appreciate everyone coming out on a Sunday night. Just remember, guys and ladies and gentlemen, there will be no Tuesday episode this week. No Tuesday episode. We did that tonight instead. And we've got next Thursday, the official start of baseball, even though they've already played a couple games. So, guys, you did a great job tonight. Looking forward, don't forget, at the end of the season, we're going to get together, look at our preview picks, get to discuss them, and then talk about the actual playoff teams that have arrived. So it'll be fun to do that at the end of the season. And we'll get to compare against the fellas that went last week, which was Retro Sports Network. Who else do we have? We had Sports Time Machine, we had Clinton Parks, and we had – who am I missing that I came in last week?
Baseball demos.
Baseball demos. So we had those four last week. We have you three plus me this week. If you have not done it and you want to sign up for and put your picks in, you have till Thursday at noon. Thursday at noon, send me your division winners, your 2 wild card teams from each league, and your World Series matchup and winner, and you will be included in our preview for the season. When we do our preview show for the playoffs, we'll include your picks as well. So if you haven't done that, idjesterlive@gmail.com, idjesterlive@gmail.com. No Tuesday episode this week. Thanks, everyone, for coming by. We will see you
so
all.
much, ID. Thank you a lot, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you.